It's Kevin here. Before you start building a website for a client, there's some things you need to understand. First and foremost, you are the person, you are the expert, okay? And th- there are so many customers who tell you all of the things that they want on a website, and it's funny because they don't always know what they want or what they need. And you've got to be the expert. You've got to guide them. And if you just jump into a website that they want you to build, and they want you to do SEO for, you're going to have some issues. So you've got to figure some things out first. Okay. I'm looking today at a company called Home Insights. They just launched their website with us 2 months ago maybe, and they didn't have very much of a budget. They had been burned by their last web designer. Their horror story is he sold them a website. He charged them, I think, 500 or 600 bucks a month, something like that. And the website never even got completed. They couldn't get contact forms. When I went to it, about half the time it would throw an error. I couldn't even get onto the website. And so they were gun shy about working with somebody. And there's a certain amount of, you want clients who have a good budget, and there's a certain amount of you've got to earn that business too, because in this industry, everybody's been burned by somebody. Okay. So the first thing that we did for this company is we asked what services they provided, because home inspections is a big, broad topic, right? There's a lot of different types of home inspections. I didn't know that, but there are. And so we started asking, what are your services that you have? And they said, well, we have inspections for home buyers and home sellers, mold inspections, builder's warranty home inspections, FHA minimum property standards, roof certification, wind mitigation, and 4-point home inspections. Now, this is not an industry that I'm super duper familiar with, but I've worked with people who did mold inspections and testing before, and I know that there's search volume there. So I said, okay, what we want to do is we want to have your services page. But we also want to break all of these services down and have a page for each of those. Okay, and so we start creating what I call a site map, where we've got our home, we've got about, we've got services, and then underneath services we have service number 1, service number 2, and so on and so forth. Well, then I said, let's talk about your service area. What places are you in? And they started listing off a bunch of places. So we're just going to say area number 1, area number 2, area number 3, and so on and so forth. And we had a contact page. And they said, what about having a gallery page? Okay, so come in here, maybe pages, gallery. And, I explained to them that a gallery page can be good, but look at the analytics on gallery pages. Not a whole lot of people go to them. So when you think about the person who is getting a home inspection, why is this person getting a home inspection? Usually somebody's getting a home inspection because they're buying the home or selling the home, which two of their services, right? Maybe their insurance adjuster has said, to get your homeowner's insurance cheaper, you need to have this insurance or that insurance. Maybe it's legally required to get a loan for a house, something like that. So people are just like looking for the home inspector, and look, if you go to a gallery page for a home inspector, you're not knowing what you're looking at probably. So you could have it, but it's not the most important thing. So I put that in the maybe category. Well, for each service area, we want to have a certain amount of what I call child pages for that service area. So, maybe we have service number 1 here, service number 2 here, and they actually have 8 services. And a whole bunch of service areas. So as you can see, if we started doing this all the way down, looking at 8, 9 pages plus, another 8 pages per area potentially. And if there's 10 areas, that's 80 pages, and that's going to take a very long time to do. So what we start to do is we start to look at which service areas are the juiciest. And juiciest doesn't always mean the biggest. Remember that from an SEO perspective, it is really hard to get a rank for a competitive service in a competitive town. So in Tampa area of Florida, Tampa, of course, is the big place. Then there's like St. Petersburg and Clearwater that are also big and competitive. But then there are places like Pinellas Park and Largo, which are smaller and they have less of a population. So one way to get an idea of service areas, if you're not in that town, is to do a search for like home inspections Tampa, find the person that's like ranking highly, and see if they have a service areas section, which they do. And so they have Hillsborough, Pinellas, Pasco, Herndon, Citrus, Manatee, West Polk, and these are here are the cities that they serve. And so look at this: Valrico, Tampa, Sydney, and each and every one of these pages. Well, I shouldn't be linking out to that. These should all be pages, right? I don't like linking out to useless places. But it still works to have at least these cities listed on the website. So, we're talking about a relevant search result. So, commercial and home inspections in Hillsborough County, that's great. But like, what happens if we did so we get here, and there's not. So Lithia doesn't really have a lot of competition. If we click here, this one is all about in Lithia, Florida. I have a feeling these guys aren't going to rank anywhere other than Lithia, Florida, but that's okay because they're getting all of the Lithia things. So, maybe that's one of the cities that we decide to do because there's some opportunity there. But you see how there's only one person here, and then it's Yelp, Home Advisor, Better Business Bureau, Porch. This one doesn't. I don't know that it mentions Lithia at all. You can keep searching, but Lithia just doesn't have a lot of actual websites. So you see these aggregators like homeinspector.org and Yelp and Home Advisor, stuff like that. And then Divinity is down on the second page. It does mention somewhere Lithia, and maybe that's because they actually, like, their address might actually be in Lithia. So that might be one that we decide to go after. I don't know what the search volume in Lithia would be, but won't it be a much better page to have, home inspections in Lithia FL? This is the same thing, like, we have some service areas here that we created, so we can say in Brandon FL. Now, these guys were not ranking on this before at all, and I don't know if Home Insights is yet ranking on this. We'll have to see. But you can also see that Brandon has a lot more types of searches, or types of companies that have a page for Brandon. And there's Home Insights down here. You notice it's actually going into the Brandon page itself on the website. So they're getting up there. It does take time, and we launched them about a month ago. So we've created what I call a sitemap here, right? And we can't do 20 areas with 10 servers or 8 service pages each, because it's too much, too many pages, and you have to charge per page. So sometimes what you do is you take the ones that you know are good. Like you might take a Tampa, Clearwater, St. Petersburg. Those are competitive. And then you take mold assessments because you know that there's some search volume there. Home inspections for home buyers or something. And you take one or two of the services that you know will be good. And you discuss this with the customer with the idea and the intention that you're going to build out more and more later. So we're just going to do 4 service areas or child service pages, and then 4 more here. Right. So then you're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, plus 8, 5, 26, 27, 28 pages or so. And then there are more areas you just maybe want to just have a few area pages as a fishing expedition, I call it. Because again, these guys had been burned in the past, so you don't want to come to them and say, look, it's going to be a $10,000 website or a $5,000 website with all this content. What you want to do is you want to start showing them some value. Okay? And so, you do, instead of 50 pages, you do 20 or 30. But you have some of these ones here because, like with Brandon, for instance, we just have the Brandon page. You don't have the child pages for it. It just means that Brandon page is going to start catching data in Search Console. And I'll get into Search Console next, but it's important that we understand what we're doing, right? But when we have this sitemap, this is not a real sitemap, this is for us sitemap. We can also plan build out for the next few months, right? And we're going to say more child pages for service areas, 2 per month, or something like this, right? So then you've got an ongoing client, because like, look, we want to get all of these pages to have all of these different services, and we're going to have to build out X per month. So now we know what we're building, and we know how to build it. And if you're building it, I recommend building everything on a development environment first, so that you can make sure that when you launch, it's all ready to go, rather than building something live and Google finds out about it, ranks it poorly for a while. No, you launch all at once, and then you add to it down the